Bonjour, buenas noches, chers amis, estimados amigos. It's an exciting time tonight. We're at the eve of Mexican Independence Day. It's going to be the Heritage Month of Mexico. To honor this, we have one of our leading, phenomenal, charming, and exceptional winemaker. She's president and CEO. It's the first Latino lady-run winery ever. Her name is Amelia Ceja. She's very charming. Many of you already know her. She is one of the best in gardening, in cooking. So we have a few surprises for her. She joined her parents in Rutherford when they came as farm workers. And then she became very highly educated and she decided to start a winery. Her husband went to UC Davis and now she's joined with her daughter to run the show. She's been a force in really representing, obviously, the phenomenal Mexican influence in Alta California. And she is not only charming, but very talented, a driving force. So we're very honored to have her to celebrate one of the countries we love the most, Mexico, but of course, California. She's totally bicultural. And she brought us some surprise. We're going to try her wine. And boom! This is like the Mexican canon of independence. It went as a surprise. Amelia, bienvenido.
Gracias, amigo.
Qué placer.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. I am so honored and thrilled to be here.
Well, and Amelia, we thrilled. So first we have the natural moment where we taste. And you know, dear friends, why bubbles? Because Amelia was... Oh, did you like it?
Oh, I love your sparkling wine. It's delicious.
Thank you. Well, and we're going to taste the whole range of the beautiful Ceja wines. But dear friends, Amelia is one of the most awarded women as well in the world of wine for all kinds of reasons. And she's received many awards to encourage women, to encourage farm workers and their dignity within the workplace and all those things. So, Amelia, let's start there. How does it feel to be Woman of the Year under so many auspices?
Well, there's so many that came before me, including my parents, who toiled for years up and down the West Coast, picking different agricultural products. So it's very gratifying, and not just me, but my entire family is very proud of our accomplishments. And in a very competitive and very hard to get industry, we've been able to penetrate the wine industry, which is an industry that I love so much because I love wine and food and being with family and friends.
Well, and you've done it so well, so I commend you. Woman of the Year and all those great awards. So tell us about all those awards, because everybody should know. You should list the one you're the most proud of to the one which means a lot for your family as well.
Well, after a nice sip.
You know, it's mid-September. We're celebrating as well Independence Day soon.
Yes.
Mexico beating the French in a few times. You know, that's Cinco de Mayo. We won't go there.
Well, I'm very proud of all of my accomplishments, which it hasn't just been me, it's been a group effort.
Sure.
My family is incredibly talented, and due to their support and input, and sometimes a little bit of a push, I've been able to achieve a lot of milestones. But yes, I was named Woman of the Year by the California legislature for breaking a glass ceiling in this wine industry that is dominated by males.
For sure.
But I see that increasingly there are more women getting into it, so it gives me a lot of pleasure. But
yes, and thanks to you, there's a lot of ladies getting into it. Seeing you as an example, you know, Latina. I'm from France, so we all from different countries originally, and the key of America is to assimilate and to become part of the culture and to lead that effort and that inspiration for others. And you've done it magnificently well. Oh. You got another award, which I love. I'll let you explain it.
Well, marketing awards, etc. But one that I am the most proud of is actually the Dolores Huerta
That's right.
Farmworkers Justice Award for lobbying in Washington, D.C. In 2015 to change the worker protection standards that had not been changed since the early 90s. And up until then, there were still some kids under 18 years old, not in California, but in other states,
For sure.
that were still exposed to harmful pesticides. So
Yes.
that was changed in September of 2015, which was great.
Congratulations.
But without the Mexican labor force, there wouldn't be a wine industry nor food on our table.
Absolutely.
So I am so incredibly proud to make sure that all of the immigrants, all of us that have contributed, that everyone is recognized. So a toast to the campesinos.
Campesinos, felicitaciones a todos y todas. How did you get that drive to really go beyond your pure self-business, to fight for others and to really take the representation of others in such a charismatic way?
Well, I come from very humble beginnings. I was born in a little village in Jalisco, Mexico, in the highlands, and we didn't have running water or electricity.
You didn't need to because you make good tequila.
Yes, in Jalisco,
Jalisco,
we do.
you
And
know.
I do love tequila as well.
That's what comes in the shower when you start in the morning, right? Tequila Blanco.
But unfortunately, tequila doesn't pair as well with cuisine that might have a spice component. So wine does that better. But my father had been coming to the U.S. and finally when he found Napa Valley, he fell in love with Napa and he started working in the vineyards. But he soon understood that there needed to be some changes so that there would be, he was seeking more social justice for farm workers. So I'm very happy that I had a chance to meet like Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez while they were organizing for representation here in the Valley. So they would stay on my parents' home, like literally just like a mile south of here in Rutherford, which is where I lived when I arrived here from Mexico. And so I was in that environment my entire life after arriving here.
For sure.
And I feel very strongly about everyone. I mean, what I want for my own family, I want for everybody. And it's very important to protect often those that they cannot represent themselves.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that they have a voice through me.
That's fantastic. Well, now I've taken the fabulous Chardonnay that you make with so much passion. And I want to say I commend you for taking such leadership because, Amelia said something so important, dear friends, and I know you from all over the world. You got to realize in California specifically, without this amazing workforce, and I say hello to all our farming team who is with us tonight as well. Without them, the vineyard would never be the same. And furthermore, agriculture at large and horticulture and all the greenery of California, right?
Absolutely.
So I think we need to realize this and pay tribute to that.
Well, a sip of wine is a sip of so much more.
Voila. So what are we tasting? Because Amelia so kindly did not just bring 2 wines, she brought 4. That's Amelia's generosity this evening for us. So tell us what we're trying.
Well, this is our 2018 Ceja Vineyards Reserva Chardonnay, and it comes from a vineyard on Las Amigas Road, and it is barrel fermented, but we use only neutral French oak. It's non-mallow, so it has really nice bracing acidity, but it is thoroughly aged, so it has that richness and creaminess that I adore. I love Burgundies. I love Chardonnays, Chablis and Pinot Noirs from Burgundy, and we really want to pay homage to the true grape varietal and not really mess with it too much in the cellar, but rather in the vineyard to consistently grow the best Chardonnay. And I think we were able to achieve that. It's really
unbelievable,
lovely.
dear friends. And
Yeah.
we have this wine at both Oakville groceries as well. And obviously on Amelia's internet, cejavineyards.com is where you can get the wines. Now, Amelia, why wine? Why did you get into the wine world?
Well, I started working in the vineyards. My father, Felipe Morán, was a vineyard worker in Oakville. And by the time I came here, he actually was a foreman, and it was during harvest. And I really wanted to learn everything that my father was engaged in.
Yes.
So I asked him to take me to pick grapes, because it was September when I arrived here.
And how old were you?
I was 12. And I fell in love.
That's the best age to really fall in love with wine.
I fell in love when I tasted those perfectly ripened Merlot grapes at Tocalon Vineyards in Oakville. There was no Cabernet then. This is 1967. Mondavi's winery had been built in 1966. It still didn't have a roof. So I have very deep roots in this valley.
For sure.
I mean, and I told my dad, he reminded me a few years ago that I said, I'm going to have a vineyard of my own someday. And voila.
Voila, and she did it. So give us maybe, Amelia, a little idea of your journey, because it's amazing. From your roots to 12 years old, you went to university in San Diego. And then how did you really got to have your own winery and vineyards and start this wonderful energy of yours?
Well, it's pretty cost prohibitive to get into the wine industry because of the cost of real estate in Napa and Sonoma. But we were set on finding land in either valley, and this is after college. But I neglected to mention that first day when I went to pick grapes, I also met my future partners and my husband as well. So Pedro Ceja and Armando Ceja, they let me.
Sorry. I keep going because the wine is so good. I don't want us to go back to the Chardonnay. We're going to go to the Pinot now.
Oh, yes. And
so you met your partners. That's how it started.
That's how it started. We met as children. They had just arrived here from Michoacan. And both of us, my husband is one of 10. Yep. So they were living in a barn in Yountville, on Yountville Crossroads.
That's a good thing. As Mexican descent, I think you're very fertile, aren't you? I love it. Always 5, 6, 8, 10 children. It's amazing.
My husband's family. I come from a tiny family.
How many of yours?
3.
Well, which is still not that small.
But yes. But so my father knew my husband's father because they were migrant farm workers for many years, and they would run into each other. And independent of each other, they both brought their families the same month to the Napa Valley. So my husband's family was living in a barn, and they desperately needed a job. So the dad called my father and said, "Hey, I need a job." So he said, "Well, come this weekend. My family just came to Napa, and my children are going to come and pick grapes." So I met Pedro and Armando, my husband, and my brother-in-law, winemaker, who went to UC Davis as well. And we started picking grapes. So Pedro and I were both 12, and Armando, our winemaker, was 8. So we have this incredible experience from the ground up of learning how to grow grapes ourselves. So how did we end up with having vineyards in an area that is so coveted to grow Chardonnay and Pinot Noir? Is because we were focused. We didn't even have a business plan, but we wanted to own land in Napa and Sonoma.
I love it. Don't always do a business plan. Sometimes it's the biggest enemy to entrepreneurship. You don't do what you think doesn't look great, or you try to improve what doesn't look good on the spreadsheet, and you don't have the same envy to do it, and vice versa, right?
If we had a business plan, it didn't make business sense to buy a property in 1983 at the height of inflation, interest rates in like 17.9. But fortunately, we didn't. So we went ahead and bought it. and we nearly lost it, but we were able to, we had to move back from Silicon Valley because of our jobs into a house that was in the very first property that we purchased in Carneros, and we were able to save it. We planted it. Well, we pulled our resources together. Yeah. So we had a couple of homes that were sold to put a very large down payment. And then we worked really, really hard to make the monthly payments. And then we finally were able to develop our first Pinot Noir vineyard. Was planted in 1986.
That's what we're trying,
and this is what we're trying. And I am so proud of this Pinot Noir.
Well, and congratulations, Amelia, for betting the farm in many ways. You know the expression, it's, in this case, betting the vineyards and going for it. In life, you know, there's always people who talk about doing things, and there's a few who actually don't talk as much, but they do it. And I admire you for doing it, because it's easy today in 2021 to say wine is something important in society and culture. In those years, it was not obvious.
No.
Right? It was not anything like this. So what made you say, we want to do it? Explain us maybe your inspiration, your drive, your raison d'être.
Yes. Well, we were farmers in Mexico, and in our adopted country, there's this beautiful, amazing, fertile land, and we love wine. Immediately, I was introduced to wine very young too, in Rothenburg.
As we all should.
Well, when I arrived here, and
well, that's very late, because my mother acknowledged she never stopped drinking wine when she was breastfeeding me.
Oh, so
you know when I had wine. Pinot was here, Chardonnay on the other side.
Oh, well, you know.
So it's never too late.
No, and wine makes life better. It just, especially in our Mexican culture, everything revolves around the table. Yeah. And wine is a universal language that can be spoken whether someone is a novice or a wine aficionado. And that's exactly what we wanted to do. Because we saw that there was this amazing wine being produced in Napa and Sonoma, but we wanted to make sure that we introduce new consumers and allow them to enjoy wine under their own terms, not ours.
That's right.
I saw that there was a little bit of arrogance and elitism in the wine industry, and we felt very strongly that in order to grow more wine consumers, we needed to invite everyone to join us into this magical experience that is wine with food, with family and friends. And that was because I've been cooking since I was so young that in college, I didn't have a lot of financial resources, but I had access to great wine because of my father being in the wine industry. So I started, this is in the 70s, I started doing Mexican cuisine and wine pairings way before.
To that matter, well, I want to have a toast to that, because who said that wine does not fit spicy food or Mexican food? It's a dream pairing. In fact, you mentioned something when I was taking a shower with tequila, reposado or blanco. You said it doesn't go too well, tequila, because of the spice, but wine goes better.
Oh, yes. It's acid that is key. It's the acid in wine that even if food might have a spice component, the acid, just like in Mexican cuisine, we squeeze a little lime to brighten the flavors. Yep. Well, that's what the acid in the wine, present in the wine, does when you pair it with Mexican cuisine. And Mexican cuisine is not the hotter is better mentality. Mexican cuisine is actually a lot like, I love French cuisine. It's like layers and layers. It's like peeling an onion.
That's right.
And discovering like these nuances that then you find because of the herbs and to that is I really wanted to share one of my all-time favorite recipes with you, and I do have a surprise.
We have a surprise, and dear friends, you cannot smell it, but I can.
Oh, look at this. These are enchiladas suizas, which are made with green salsa de tomatillo, and all of the ingredients minus the cheese, and the chicken, because they're stuffed with chicken and mushrooms. But the ingredients for the salsa, they're all from my organic garden in Carneros, here in Napa. And I hope you enjoy Mexican
there's no
cuisine.
hope. I will.
And
Dear friends, do you see how lucky we are in the heart of Napa Valley and Carneros? And
creme fraiche from Sonoma.
and we're getting an amazing Pinot too, dear friends, because you got to realize this is from your original vineyard.
This
right?
is from it's blend of two clones, Dijon and Pommard, which is both are grafted onto the rootstock of our 15 acres in Carneros, our original vineyard. And it is fermented in 5-ton open top fermenters, so small so that we can do very gentle punch down of the cap. We want to make sure that in a very delicate grape like Pinot Noir, we don't extract unwanted anything. It's just the purity of the grape that really shows through. It's
a lot
very
of
lovely.
finesse, a lot of elegance, a lot of beauty.
We make a couple of Pinot Noirs because we own a number of vineyards where we grow Pinot Noir, but I love Carneros. This Pinot Noir is really one of my favorite. And these tomatoes are also from my garden. They're pineapple tomatoes.
I mean, look at those tomatoes. I mean, perfection from Mother Nature.
And this is the toppings for these enchiladas. So I'm going to show you.
Yeah, show us how to do it because, you know, I will imitate your gesture.
We'll add some crunch, some texture with this finely shredded cabbage, which we use extensively in Mexican cuisine. And then we are going to add a couple of tomatoes.
Our hands, you know.
I do.
The French way, you know. Till after Louis XIV, we started to use Houston style. But before that, he used his hands. The king himself.
Yes.
The man who is behind me. This young man.
Yes.
Right, Dylan? Did you see him?
And then you top it out with creme fraiche like that.
Everyone is so jealous to see us doing that. But don't be jealous, be envious, you know. If you go to the Ceja vineyards and you see Amelia, you need to ask for her. She may have surprises for you, right?
Well,
we never know.
We love food, and we feel very strongly that with family and friends, the privilege that one has is actually to be able to share the amazing bounty that we grow in Napa Valley. Not just the wines, but the food itself. And let's give it a try.
So you as a family too, Amelia, have been, tell us about your childhood and gardening, because you're an incredible gardener. And I believe even you've written books and recipes and all that on cooking. So you're very big into cooking. Well, with the Pinot, it's amazing.
Let me see. It's the creme fraiche cuts the little spice component that's in there. And this will be absolutely just as lovely with the Ceja Chardonnay as it is with the Pinot Noir for totally different reasons.
So what would be the reason for the Chardonnay versus the Pinot?
The Chardonnay has more of this like subtle citrusy, which is lovely, and the acidity is just racing. And but this is also very fresh. I can actually I can taste more of a tea component in the Pinot with this dish, but I had one before I came here because I wanted to be able to.
It's outstanding, dear friends. I think you should open a restaurant in addition.
Well,
I mean, how amazing. Because Mexican food is incredible, as we know. But homemade Mexican food, as you do, this is magic.
Oh, well, my passion in cooking also stems from my interest in teaching kids how to grow their own food. I actually went through the rigorous UC Davis Napa County Master Gardener program in 2013 so that I would be able to volunteer and go into schools and teach little kids, elementary schools, that you don't need to have a huge area to grow food. You can actually, if you live in an apartment and you just have a small area, you can actually plant your favorite veggies in containers. And to me, it is the most gratifying to see a little kid that has taken one plant, that has planted one plant and then nurture it, and then being able to eat, the
Mother
fruit.
Nature.
It is so empowering for that child because then they understand where food comes from. And I think that will end up a lot of the incidence of diabetes and obesity, period, if we eat from locally farm to table. And I was doing that since I was born. I just didn't know I was eating really amazing gourmet food.
Do you think we're moving finally in that direction of farm to table to understanding the ingredients? Where do you think we're going in that whole philosophy?
We are. When I came here in 67, I miss my family in Mexico, but I miss food the most because in 1967, the food was not great here. I'm sorry to say. But through Alice Waters and so many other amazing entrepreneurs and chefs, they really brought attention to the importance of growing your own veggies and your fruits, having chickens, because food just tastes so much better if it's allowed to eat what we eat ourselves.
That's it.
And so, like, for example, these enchiladas.
This is incredible.
It's really fantastic. And you see, but it's subtle. It's not on your face.
So, do you want to share quickly the recipe to everyone? I know you're an incredible chef and everybody knows it, but...
Well, this is a chicken and mushroom stuffing enchilada. The stuffing is chicken and mushrooms. I roasted the chicken, shredded it, and then added, yes, you can see. And the mushrooms are baby portabella mushrooms. And the cheese is from Oaxaca. Oaxacan cheese is very similar to like mozzarella, but it has a lot more flavor. It comes like in a braid and it's really hard to shred, but it's delicious. It's divine.
I took it away from you, dear friends.
Yes. But, and the corn tortillas, and it's really important to use like, I don't use seed oil, so I use olive oil, one that has a high heat point, and for the tortillas, and it's very simple. I mean, it's actually on our website. If anyone cares to learn how to make this enchiladas suizas or green enchiladas, it's on Ceja Vineyards website because we shot
on Ceja
Vineyards.com.
Yeah.
If you look
everybody go because it's insane.
So, but yes.
So what wine shall we, in addition, you brought a beautiful Syrah.
I brought two other wines because I didn't know how many I could bring. So
as many as you want.
So
we're having a feast, dear friends.
So these two are actually really great fun. One is Metzli, which is the Aztec deity goddess of the moon. And one is Oxomo, which is the Aztec deity. And we only select female names.
And why
Aztec
is that?
deity.
We should say the first ever Mexican-American woman elected as president of a winery. And the first winery, as we said, mother-daughter run show in the U.S. as entrepreneurial female. So congratulations for that. So you're the goddess.
Oh, well.
One should be named Amelia.
Oh, well, there's already one name, but but this is Oxoma, which is the Aztec deity goddess of the night. And this is a true Bordeaux blend, which is composed of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot.
Is it the one we should have first or the other one?
Well, I have to...
what do you think?
This one is not a true Bordeaux blend. The Metzli is Cab Syrah, so I think we should have this one first.
So this one is really... It should go very well with the food, too.
Oh, absolutely. And it's very sexy and seductive.
Ooh. We may disappear for a while. We will be back in an hour. Is an hour enough?
Oh, absolutely. But this...
Well, you've never really met a Frenchman like me, so maybe an hour is not enough. Look at the room behind us.
It's lovely.
Dylan, we may disappear. We close the curtain, and here we are.
Enticing. But the reason why I say sexy and seductive is because the tannins are present, but they're like caressing your tongue. They're silky, velvety.
And I'm going to do the food.
It's pretty sexy. So delicious. That's why these enchiladas work with everything.
Yeah.
When you add like creaminess with some kind of, whether it's cheese or creme fraiche, it really makes the dish so much more accessible to different styles of wine. That is key.
And that's the key. People tend to think sometimes Mexican food is one-dimensional in terms of one style. How many styles of Mexican food you love to pair with wine?
Well, I love all Mexican cuisine paired with wine. Best, but I also love, oh my gosh, French cuisine. I love world cuisine.
Yes.
But Mexican cuisine is very regional. Like if you go to my state and then you go to Pedro's state, Michoacan, it's like you've gone to another country because it's so seasonal and regional that the cuisine has evolved with whatever is available in that area. So, for example, like in Michoacan, rice as a part of the diet in Michoacan, it's really huge. While in my state, it's not at all because it's much more readily available in Michoacan than it is in Jalisco. Yet, like a lot of the amazing meat dishes like lamb, because lamb and all of that, like chivas, goats, all of those dishes are much more readily available in Jalisco, where I come from. So like braised, like almost, not quite, but like beef bourguignon, which I absolutely adore. Sure. Well, we make braised dishes like that and where I come from too. And so very, very different. But I found that wine, balanced wine pairs well with all styles of Mexican cuisine, from Oaxaca to Puebla, to the moles of Puebla, to...
And I love to see Mexican restaurant identifying the region. You know, it's like French food. We have so many different kinds, and you could think, oh, French food is only foie gras or only beurre bourguignon or what have you. So it's great when you start to put the region because you automatically think, okay, this is going to be that type of dish, that type of dish. But I need to confess that the wine with the food is insane. It goes amazingly. So what do you think, as a great winemaker that you are as well, about the evolution of Baja California? Because we are in Alta California, but let's never forget that up to 1850, it was one state, one country in a way. And Baja California is booming on wine. Is it something you're interested in looking into one day, or?
I actually have delved deeply because the history of wine is my passion. And the history of wine in the Americas begins in Mexico.
That's right.
The first winery outside of Northern Europe in the Americas was founded in 1597 in Parras, Coahuila, which is a northern state in Mexico. And Parras, the city is named vineyards. Parras means vineyards.
Casa Madera.
Casa Madero, yes. It was
the wood.
Yes, but it was called Hacienda San Lorenzo because it was a gift from the king to one of someone that had just arrived from Spain into Mexico, but that found that area ideal to grow grapes because it's like 5,000 feet above sea level and there's plenty of water. And it was Casa Madero. It became Casa Madero after Mexico gained its independence from Spain. And it waited about 40 more years. So in the 1850s, it was this man whose last name is Madero, and his grandson became the president of Mexico in the early 1900s.
Wow. I did not know at all.
It's really cool
I
stuff.
toured the winery, which I thought is breathtaking. And so many people don't know that as early as the end of the 16th century, that's when it started.
But what the king giveth, he can also taketh away. So we had prohibition in Mexico from the late 1600s to until we gained our independence on September 18, 1810. And so this is so apropos and so wonderful because tomorrow is Mexico's Independence Day.
I want to drink to this because the power of countries being themselves and being to manage themselves and keeping the characteristics and the culture and the identity is what it's all about, right? We have, 190 plus countries around the world, and that's what makes it fun. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Nobody wants uniformity. I'll drink to that.
Salud.
Salud, amor y qué más.
¿Y qué más? Sí.
Dinero no lo sé si es tan importante.
No. ¿Sabe? What's important, what I found that is so much more important is to make sure that we have our health and that our family is safe and together with us. That to me defines happiness. And when we sit around the table as we are right now, enjoying amazing food paired with amazing wines, that is a very happy state to be in.
A toast to this statement. We cannot say it better than you. With this charming, light accent. So how is it, as you will describe the wine in a moment, but to run, you one of the key ladies, and the only one really, who were the first ever to run a business of fine wines in the United States, is a lady from Mexico. Now you brought in your daughter with you, who is fabulous, by the way. I've had the occasion to meet her many times, who gave birth to the third generation eventually one day. So how is it as ladies to run the show? Because it's a ladies show at the Ceja Winery.
It's wonderful because it gives impetus to others to see, like, if she can do it, so can I. And that it is what also was a driving force for me.
Yes.
For example, my maternal grandmother, she never had a chance to go to school, not because she didn't want to, but she lived in a very remote village.
Yes.
And she would have to walk like kilometers and kilometers and kilometers. But she dedicated her life to make sure that her family gain an education, because she understood that an education is the equalizer and that it gives one mobility anywhere, and it's something that you own and no one can take it away from you. So I am just so grateful to have come from this Renaissance woman, Mama Chepa, that inspired me to be a chingona. You know what a chingona means? Badass. And to be a badass.
That? Chingona.
See,
I have two daughters who love Spanish language, and they have used that term. Ladies, thank you for teaching me that a few years ago. I love the fact that you are. And so now you inspire all of us, of course. And Amelia, we've known each other for a long time, and I've always had tremendous admiration and appreciation and really affection for what you're doing. Many of our friends with us are working with their children or sometimes even grandchildren. So you acknowledge your daughter to join you. So how is that doing, and how is it as a family business?
I have to confess, for a number of years when she was younger and I could no longer attend all of her soccer star days.
Because she was a big soccer player.
She was a big soccer player.
And she has gorgeous legs, dear friends. When you go to Ceja Winery, if she's wearing the right outfit, you're going to say, ooh la la.
Well, she's one of the most amazing women. She just happens to be my daughter. But she was a little bit, at first when all of a sudden I couldn't attend all of her everyday life events, she was a little bit resentful. And you know what? Now she is so incredibly understanding. And now that she has her own daughter, Luna Isabella, she's 1 year old, and I'm madly in love with my granddaughter, Nietecita. She understands that it's going to be up to her.
Yes.
So for me, it was up to Dalia to do with her life whatever she wanted to do with it. She went to college, she graduated, she received 2 degrees in business and communications. And then she took off to South America, to Chile, Argentina, the wine country. And she lived there for over 6 months. She came back, and this is really cool. But you see, I never pushed her because I wanted her to go and explore the world, but to also figure out what it is that she wanted to do. She came back and she said, Mommy, I'm going to apply to get my executive MBA. I didn't look like, I didn't jump up and down because then she probably would have said, maybe not. So I just said, oh, that's...
Reverse psychology,
exactly.
Parents.
I just said...
Something I don't know how to practice.
No, but I said, oh, that's nice. Of course I'll support you. So see, she figured it out on her own. We never expected... we have 3 children. We didn't expect any of our 3 children to come back and work with us. It had to be up to them. One studied film, one studied digital arts.
Great.
But you see...
They can all help.
But now, because of technology, that's exactly the kind of skills that we need. And you see, at the time, my husband, oh my gosh, Pedro said, Mijo, my little son, are you sure you want to go to film school? What are you going to do with it? But I took him aside and I said, leave him alone. He needs to go and do whatever
You know who runs the show
wants.
in that family. Rightfully so, the mother's instinct, and encouraging. And then digital arts, your middle.
Yes. And guess what? Those are the skills that one needs if we are to use all of the technology that is so unifying worldwide, using all of these amazing social media platforms, which bring people together. And we could be enjoying, like right now, we're enjoying this amazing food with wine, and yet so many others are going to be able to see this as well. This is so exciting, and I'm
so glad. So your 3 children are really in the trends of the world today, which is so exciting, so relevant.
But it wasn't because we wanted them. It just happened organically, and it was very authentic.
And what do you recommend? And I will take that as a recommendation for me. I have my 2 irresistible twins who are hopefully watching, ladies. You're going to receive an advice. How should we be as parents, as children comes to us with the similar statements? What?
Allowing children to explore their own interest is the best for them. Do you know why? My grandmother, Mama Chepa, told me when I left, it hurt her very much to see me leave because she loved me so much, but she told me, Mija, regardless it is that you do, whether you are a barrendero or the president, that means the street sweeper or the president, you have to know more than anyone about what it is that you select to do. And don't worry whether your parents are going to tell you, oh, no, that's not good for you. Just do what you love and no more than anybody else. Become an expert in whatever it is that you love to do. You're going to be successful and you're going to be happy. And I take her advice very closely.
That's amazing. Did we all hear that? This is the advice I will follow. So ladies, here it is. We're passing on to you. Now, what is your inspiration today? What inspires you the most? You have achieved so much, whether it's for the workers, whether it's for your family, whether it's for your business, the world of wine, the world of women, the world of, immigration and rights and equality and education. I mean, there's so many fields you've been very fortunately for all of us touching. So tell us.
Well, I care very deeply about the future. And now that I'm a newly minted abuelita, grandmother, I really cared so deeply about my granddaughters, but not just hers, all of the children that have been born during the pandemic, but and generations to come. I care deeply about climate change. And
fantastic topic.
We have last year and years past, we've had fires and
typhoon, catastrophes,
exactly.
earthquake all around the world.
Yes.
I mean, look at that.
So I feel very strongly that all of us need to work together to make sure that this planet remains healthy for millennia and many generations to come. And it is our duty to do whatever it is that we can do. I mean, sometimes it could be as tiny as just affecting one person, but it doesn't matter. That's still one person.
That's right.
So let's all of us together do whatever it is in our power to do to make sure that we maintain our home, our planet livable for millennia. Because it's not just because it's the right thing to do. It's because otherwise we're never going to have a home, and where are we going to go?
That's right. Even though we're building spaceship, we know it's not exactly the same up there.
Yeah.
Talking about climate change, this last one is amazing. It's pure, it's intense, it's rich. It feels really the mother nature of where you grow it. So do you want to tell us a little bit about this one? Do you want more? Yes.
Absolutely.
We never say no.
No, not to worry.
So this is, dear friends, the Napa Valley, the Oxomo.
It's such a lovely wine. We love Cabernet and Merlot together. We also make 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. We only have one vineyard in just south of the Stags Leap AVA, 10 acres, and we grow just Cabernet.
Well, it's not too bad, right?
It's perfect.
Just Cabernet, dear friend. We just grow gold. You know, we just have diamond in the backyard, but it's okay, right?
But Cabernet, 100% Cabernet is actually my favorite. But it's also so fun to be able to blend it with other red varietals. And while in the US, we can pretty much blend anything. And I'm so glad that we're able to blend Syrah to Cabernet, because it really is also very, very lovely.
Very close to a wine we make, the tiger or the leopard. Cabernet Syrah. This is animalistic. This is feline. This is
just
savage.
like the backdrop.
That's it. Wow, what a wine.
It's lovely.
And you would still have it with this dish as well.
Well, there's more.
Dear friends, you could see... The night is young. And you know one thing we haven't talked about, dear friends? 2 more minutes. We have the big question from Amelia. What made you such a great salsa dancers?
Oh.
Because I've seen Amelia on the dance floor, that beautiful red dress floating in the sky. Oh. And she's quite the dancer, so...
Red is my favorite color.
Yes.
I think it's yours too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my red socks for you. Look.
Ooh,
I don't want to show you my socks because
And I'm wearing my rebozo.
Look at that.
I love rebozo. See?
You see, I see you still.
Yes. My brother, when he was in college, he took a dance class and he fell in love with salsa. So every time he would come and spend the weekend with us, and my children were little, and we would always end up dancing salsa. So he taught us to dance salsa and to really love it. So all of us know how to dance salsa and love salsa, but salsa is a little bit tricky. Unless if you can hear the beat, it's very easy. If you can hear the beat to the music, but if you're like not so listening to the beat, then you sort of get don't really become a great salsa dancer. But Ariel Ceja, my middle son, he is actually one of the best salsa dancers
Ariel
I've ever.
As in Shakespeare.
Ariel,
wow, what
Ariel,
a name.
but it's a he. Ariel.
Yeah.
It's actually from the Old Testament too.
Yeah, as well, exactly.
Yes. And he's an amazing salsa dancer. So is my brother. So it's like most of our friends around us.
So as a family, when you get together,
we dance.
Before, after such a fabulous dinner?
And before, during, and after. Because why not?
That's the way we should live life.
Yeah.
So now, Amelia, a lot of our friends are going to go and celebrate, obviously, to come tomorrow, you know, Mexican month, Heritage Month, Mexican independence. So tell us about your big advice to the world, your big statement. You know, you've talked about the environment and family and how you started and all the great topics. I mean, we covered literally over the last almost hour the best topics of the world. What would you like to say to all your friends who love Ceja wines, but just at large? We have people in Asia, South America, Europe, Africa, and of course, the Americas.
We are all in this together. We have so much more in common than we have differences. And we can all come together to enjoy an amazing meal with family and friends, paired with amazing wine. And that, my friends, makes life so much better. And it brings people together, but it also brings dialogue and understanding each other. So always, when you have a chance, enjoy wine with your favorite meal surrounded by the people you love.
Wow. Woo! Not only I agree with that, that's how we live. And I love it. So next time we see Amelia, she's going to give us a class of salsa. Are you all ready? I'm already, my body, my hips are moving. We will have a lot of fun. So between that great meal you suggested, don't forget, get up, put the music on, a little salsa, then you get back down and you can afford more food.
Salud.
Amor y felicitaciones.
Gracias, amigo.
Oh. Dear friends, see you soon. Happy September.